this is Sasha, and welcome to another Motivational Monday. Today, we're going to be talking about the dangers of comparison. So, as we all know, we live in an age of social media. Everyone is posting, liking, retweeting, Snapchat filtering, all of that. And I think that as of the pandemic, we have been doing that as a people more and more. The second that God told us to stop, it left us with a lot more time on our hands to have to be scrolling through and seeing what everyone else is doing. That leaves us all very much open and susceptible to the spirit of comparison. We're focusing so much on what everyone has, what everyone's doing, and how everyone is living that sometimes we get so consumed that we forget to take a second and think about all of the things that we have and that God has blessed us with. So in order to talk about this, I'm going to be using the text of 1 Samuel 1 and the story of Hannah. So part of our society and part of something that was true even in biblical times is that labels are super important. And we see this in the way that we have conversations with each other. The first thing that people usually ask you when they meet you is, "Hi, so what do you do?" They want to know what your title is. They want to know what your status is and your position in society is. But also, something that is really important are people's condition. So we can see that in this story, as the story begins by talking about Peninnah and Hannah and how they are both wives, right? So they're both wives, so we know their social status, but we also know that Peninnah is a mother, and it also highlights Hannah's condition as being barren. So as a result of that, we are already seeing how the scene is being set as Hannah, although having the same status in society, her condition makes her less than. So the story continues to say how Peninnah uses that to her advantage. So she's constantly provoking her. In fact, the story says that Peninnah is her rival. These women live together. They're both wives to the same man, and yet she is being attacked because of her condition. So today, we would call that bullying or trolling in the way that people use social media to attack and come against other people based on difference of opinion or just whatever it is that people feel like they need to do. The problem is that I think a lot of times we don't stop to think about why people are doing the things that they're doing. Why do people feel the need to bully or to troll or to attack? Why did Peninnah feel the need to do that? I don't think that Hannah took the second to consider it because she was so consumed with all of the things that she didn't have, all the things that people could see defined her as being barren. But could it be that Peninnah in reality was jealous of Hannah? So yes, she could have children, and she gave her husband many children. But the Bible says that Hannah had something that Peninnah didn't, and that was the love of her husband. So it said that her husband loved her. And in fact, it said that regardless of the fact that she couldn't give him children, she received double portions. But when did Hannah have a second to consider these things? When did Hannah have a second to be grateful for the things that God was doing for her in private? We are so worried about posting everything and making sure that the public sees all of the amazing things that we're doing, that we're losing sense of what's really important. And it's the things that God is doing for us in private. In the Bible, there is a part where it says that we should be praying in private and not like the pagans do in front of everyone else. It's not about the clout or recognition. It's about being grateful for the things that God is doing in our lives every day that everyone doesn't need to see. So Hannah allowed herself to be attacked by Peninnah, and that ensued for her to be distracted by the blessings that God had already given her. She couldn't celebrate these things because she was too focused on her circumstance and situation. But then something shifted. So after years, the Bible said that year after year, Hannah would go to the celebration. She would cry. She wouldn't be able to eat because she was listening too heavily on what Peninnah was saying to her and how she was attacking her. But what happened when she decided to silence the opinions, or let's say the expectations of others, of society, of culture, of our families, people who are trying to impose certain beliefs and timelines onto us, and you should have a list and you need to check all the boxes. But what happens when we just stop? What happens when we really decide to sift through all of that and look for what is really important. What happens when we go to God? And that is when something shifted for Hannah. That is when she pivoted and she was able to pray. She was able to bring it to God. She was able to surrender her life, her condition, her troubles to the only person that really mattered in this situation, and that was God. So the story says that she prayed, she surrendered, she decided to just pour it all out for Him and decided to silence everything from the outside. She prayed so hard that it said that Eli thought that she was drunk. But it was in that moment that Hannah decided to surrender to God's perfect timing and to His will, and to reject anything and everything else that was making her feel like she was less than. And I would encourage each and every one of us to do that every single day. I think it's fine, and I think it's realistic to think that we are going to look on social media and see what other people are doing and are saying. But we need to be careful, and we need to be cognizant of when these things are us celebrating the things of other people, and when it's becoming a problem or something that we need to think that goes against what God says our identity is. God has already told us who we are, and He told us who we are before Snapchat, before Instagram, or anything of the sort. But the second that you start to question or you start to doubt that identity is the second that it's time for you to step back and really get even more connected with God, because you're allowing the things of the world to change you. You're allowing the opinions of others to distract you. And the only timing that we need to be worried about is God's. So throughout this week, I hope that you can meditate on this word. And I hope that in these moments where you feel like you are being attacked by this spirit of comparison, you can go back to the word and see all the amazing examples of who God tells us that we are each and every day. God bless you guys. Have a great week.